Good morning, people. How are we this morning? Hope we're all well. Just let me get Facebook on board. This shouldn't take long. And then we can bring in the other David this morning, who is playing our supermarket stooge, who is just looking at the headlines in the newsstand in the supermarket. And we'll go through the papers together. Okay, that's Facebook on board. So let's get a wee look at who's in this morning. Stephen Bankier, Aki's Mad, Julie Brown, Lorraine King, John O'Rourke, George Docherty, Wake Up and Smell the Rosemaries, Rosie McGregor, Stephen Nicol. First in from Facebook is our Sweden correspondent, Melanie McCann. Hi, Avril. It is a lovely morning. We'll get there in a wee second. Okay. Right. Christ, the numbers are flying in the door of the day. Indy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is a beautiful morning. 17 degrees, clear skies, tap saff, already. No bad for 10:31 in the morning. Right, let's get the other Davy in and we can get this broadcast underway. Good morning, Mr. Millian.
Morning, Mr. McGuinness.
See, we're both get salt tires on the day again.
Aye, I've got this is the one I got. Scottish, not British. That's
Aye, great t-shirt.
Yep.
Right. Where are we? We're almost there. We get the chat back up now. I've brought you back in. And hi, Barbara. Hi, Liebchen. Hi, Class Action. Morning, Indy Scott Brian. Morning, Stephen. Right. First up this morning, we have the Scotsman. Let's see what nonsense that's got on its front page today. The Scotsman has bio-probe turmoil amid police union fairness fears. What do you make of that one, David?
Absolutely nothing at all. I recognise the two idiots that are in the picture beside it, so that's all I've got. Yeah.
Well, it's Mr. Bayou investigation into his death in Kirkcaldy in the hands of the police when he was being restrained. Now, the police union...
I saw a video of that. That was ridiculous. That was as bad as the situation we had in America, where that lad was killed by the police, actually, including his neck, the knee. And like this guy had his arms behind his back, and his hands were pushed right up.
I don't have time to get into the details of the case, David. I've only got time to tell you what the story's about. And it is that the police union have said that a chair of the inquiry is given unfettered access to the chair by Mr. Bayou's family, and they're unhappy. And they want the chair to resign. Now, how long is this bloody public inquiry going to run for? And at what cost so far to the public purse? Well, let's be fair. It's important we get to the truth of this. You know. Right, next up this morning we have the Metro. Let's get it up. Hold on. Find the bloody one I want to get ready. Let's get rid of that one. Okay. Now we're looking for the Metro. Nothing seems to be where I put it this morning. Here we go. The Metro. After a century of production at Grangemouth, it's oil over.
Ridiculous. Anyway, yeah.
That's the story that yesterday Grangemouth stopped refining oil. At the same time as Anna Sarwar was at a trade union congress, Scottish Trade Union Congress, giving a speech about how he was going to empower Scottish manufacturing. You couldn't make it up, folks. If you haven't seen Anna's the Liar's speech at the Scottish Trade Union Congress yesterday, it's worth watching. You could have heard a pin drop in that room with the nonsense he was spouting. Okay. Next up, we have the National. We'll get that up. If we can find the bloody thing. Thanks, Alistair. No, we can't find the bloody thing, so we better go and retrieve it. Because that's got a cracking headline. You need to excuse the sound of the lawnmowers outside, folks. I'll just shut my window. I had it open to help keep.
David, I can't hear in the lawnmower, and I've got a big sound system here. Nothing coming through.
Is the sound suppression working all right on the mic then, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, here we go, the National. Sarwar is accused of being ashamed after he fails to mention Starmer in STUC Congress speech. As I say, I would watch it, folks. It's educational. Main headline, of course.
But as you've said, David, STUC is a very small operation.
Mickey Mouse operation, David. It really did. You know, the setup looked as if it was straight out of a telephone box. Right, but here we go. A dark day for Scotland. End of crude oil processing at Grangemouth. Labour MSPs vote against. Call for the UK government to step in, as it did with British Steel Plant. And MP Brian Leishman tears into his own party over broken promises. In the ad.
Well, many people will look at this thing about the Grangemouth closing thinking, oh, good, end of an era for Scotland producing oil and petrol and diesel and all the rest of it, right? And thinking that's brilliant if they supported the green issues, right? But the problem is, we still need petrol and diesel.
Oh, we're going to rely on
paraffin and all those other things, right? And it's like, in actual fact, now we are in a situation where Scotland's lost all the fuel security it had by having that place open and able to produce. Now we're going to have to import from other parts of England, Liverpool most likely.
Oh, the cost of petrol obviously go up here because it's going to have to be transported here. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. We have the paper of choice for the few right-wing knuckle draggers in Scotland who have mastered the rudimentaries of reading, and that's the Express. So let's stick it up. And football powering body will only allow biological females into the game. SFA humiliates Swinney and stops trans women from competing. And you know me, David, I've got a bit of a photographic memory. So when I read this, something jumped to mind, an article I read about the SFA setting up LGBT specific leagues, because we do have gay teams and lesbian teams and playing in our non-professional leagues.
Yeah.
You know, our amateur leagues.
See, Scottish Daily Express should actually come with a health warning.
But the point is, David, this sprung to mind a story that I'd read before. So I thought I better look it up and make sure I'm not telling any lies. The other thing I knew was that there's no trans women playing in the SWFPL, the Scottish Women's Professional Football League. But I thought I better verify that. So I'll stick this up, folks. As I say, I went and had a look because, as you know, folks, when something's in my mind, I go and check it. So we'll stick this up. And this is what our friend, the AI, a search engine, had to say about it.
Yeah. You realise it's a hamster on a treadmill, don't you?
Aye. There are no trans women footballers registered in the women's game in Scotland, and the SFA is understood also to be developing new plans for increasing LGBTQ participation. That's the story I was talking about when we were talking about when I was talking about having read a story about the SFA setting up LGBTQ leagues, because there are a fair few lesbian and gay teams playing in amateur football.
Yeah.
My argument against that would be is why would you want to set up new leagues? They're already playing in the existing junior amateur leagues. They need to set up new leagues. In fact, there's an East Lothian gay team, men's gay team, which is bloody very popular in the men's league. Apparently they put on the best spread when you go and play against them.
The most important thing is, these are people. These are people, and people play football.
Aye, but the most important thing is, of course, that everybody should be able to participate no matter. You know, that's the whole argument about the trans issue. You know. Right, let's move on to the Knuckle Draggers paper, or the first of the Knuckle Draggers paper, to the Scum, David. Now, don't put up the Scum, so I'll tell you what it says. It says Will and Kate on Love Island. So, and this is a story that Big Ears Jr. and his wife celebrated their wedding anniversary on the Isle of Mull. Who knew the Isle of Mull was the Love Island? You want to me? Anyway, I'll round that one up for a Perry as well as
the most important thing is, what's this one costing us?
Aye, but there's that and all.
Because they don't pay for it themselves. They rely on the public purse to actually pay for all these things. And all the security that goes with them and everything else, right? So
even if they did pay for the trip themselves, David, it would be the public purse that's covering the security and everything to go with it. So that still costs more than their tickets to Mull.
Like when that bastard goes to the toilet, there's at least 5 policemen with him. You know, so at the end of the day, it's like, I've got to say, what's that costing?
Aye, right. Let's move on. We have got the other scumbag rag in Scotland that I don't put up, and that's the Rancid. Mm-hmm. And it goes on a crime story again on its front page, an interesting crime story, and that's 6 million. 4 caged. And this is a story of 4 men who swindled their way to riches via 2 of them positioned in the NHS, corruptly awarding contracts to the other 2. Now that's Adam Sherrody, 41, Gavin Brown, 48, bribed Alan Hush, 68, and Gavin Cox, 60, to ensure that the company, Oricom Limited, got 6 million worth of contracts and acquired NHS premises between 2010 and 2017. They've all been remanded in custody. There was a 5th man, but he's been set free.
Apart from Gavin Brown. Gavin Brown, all charges have been dropped against him.
Oh, that's not the story in the paper say this morning, David. Say a 5th man had the case.
I did read that this morning because obviously I dealt in the communication industry, right?
Right.
And I own one of the biggest communication companies in north of England, right? And it's
don't have time to get it, David. Don't have time to get it.
Really is, right?
Right. Next up, we have the Eye. What's the Eye got for us this morning? Blair blows hole in net zero plans.
Labour's net zero plans.
Sorry, Labour's net zero plans, sorry. Yeah. The interesting thing about that is I didn't know that Labour had a net zero plan. Oh, they promised us one, 28 billion a year investment.
Yeah.
But that fucking disappeared.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me was the terminology. Blair blows holes in Labour net zero plan. I thought, well, it makes a fucking change for blowing holes in people in the fucking Middle East. War criminals.
It's, you got to look at it this way. It's a note from 2 war criminals together.
Yes.
Some of that.
Aye. Next up, we have the Tory graph. Let's see what it's got for us this morning. Tory graph, where are we? Fucking had to be that. Right, next up with the Tory graph, and we'll get net zero is doomed, Blair tells Starmer. What do you make of that?
More of the same, isn't it?
It is more of the same.
Yeah.
Gove IPSO ruling is an attack on free speech.
And that's them two knobs again. Love Island, is it? So have we got to rename Mull from now on? Is that what it is?
That'd be fucked.
Huh?
Anyway, Gove's complaining about being told he has to release the fucking the polls that was done for him.
Anyway, so give us a kiss and Toba Mori.
Right, next up we have the other right-wing lonely rag, which I'll need to go and grab because it seems to have disappeared. Here we go. This is for the right-wing knuckle draggers who have been able to surpass the fundamentals of reading and writing this one. Now, what's the Daily Mail got for us today? Notorious hackers behind M&S cyber raid. Retail giant Scotland Yard has finger is pointed at gang that blackmails firms for millions.
Yeah. It did NHS, didn't they, in the past?
Well, when you get into it, David, apparently this gang consists of a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah. Well, would be teenagers. Of course it would. That's where your hacker population comes from.
Well,
and your picture there went a bit funny. That's a hacker.
Well, as I say, I don't know anything about this, but I do know the old man who ran the first ethical hacking course, and he's passed away. Right, let's move on, shall we? So
Yep, there you go. That is precisely what happens when you start talking about the ethical hackers or hackers, teenagers, whatever. That's what happens. Mr. McGuinness, you spoke out of turn, mate. No. We're not getting him back. What he's going to have to do is he's going to have to switch off and switch back on, or switch off his feed, switch back on again. No, he's in the same spot. Oh dear. All he's done is change sides on the broadcast, the side of the picture. No. Danger Mouse. No. Still not working, David. He's changed the camera a few times. DJ, unfortunately, it makes no difference. It's his own feed going to the house. No. It's a case of we'll give him another 30 seconds, but really that's it as far as it goes. The one headline I saw this morning, which was regarding sugar, they're going about sugar levy again, and it's like, if you imagine, I've spent the last few weeks, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reverse my diabetes, looking at the amount of sugar that's in standard foods that you get from supermarkets or whatever, and I was shocked at the amount there is. Because if you keep on getting an insulin spike, a glucose spike causing insulin spike, you keep on pulling that trigger, eventually you're going to end up either as pre-diabetic or diabetic. And it's nothing to do with genetics. Absolutely nothing at all. My doctor, when I was diagnosed, my doctor told me, you have got a genetic predisposition. He was working off old information. That shows you information changes over time. And the new information is not diabetic, not genetic at all. And if you've got diabetes, you can reverse it. You can come out of it. At the moment, I'm trying hard, and I'm getting all these. Sorry, David, I was keeping on talking.
I know you were filling, David. That's cool. That's cool. Let's get back to no filling. I could hear you the whole time.
All right.
And not much interested in your blood sugar this morning, dear boy. The papers. We'll get to your blood sugar right after this chat. Okay. The mere fact that you've neglected yourself to that point.
Hey, yes, really. Do you know something? So when you look at it, I lost a bloody leg. Part of my vascular problem was diabetes. You know?
Right, let's move on. So that was the other right wing on the rag. Next thing up, we've got the Guardian because we're running a wee bit behind time now, folks. Sorry about that. We'll get back on track. Here we go, the Guardian. Trump makes trade deal with UK second order priority, official says. Shall we read that headline? Trump makes it clear that UK, your market's insignificant to us. Fuck off. I think that about covers that one. Ukraine journalist dies after torture in Russian jail. And down at the bottom, Amazon attack in White House row, which was quite good, but Trump's had a word with Bezos, so he's going to stop it. But apparently, what Amazon were doing was, in America, they were putting on the price of things, and then putting next to it the amount of it that could be contributed to the tariffs.
Excellent. I have to say, the Bezos always didn't know about that. That'd been one of his underlings that did that.
Aye, no, I think he ordered the underlings to do it, actually.
Right.
Aye, he had a bit of stushy with Trump, same way that Musk has had the stushy with Trump with all these tariffs, you know.
Anybody that's got half an inch of brain knows what the score is with the tariffs, right?
Aye.
And you know, something like Bezos, where he relies upon the money that he makes off of people, standard people like you and me, then if we were in America, he would have to tell us about the tariffs.
No, the other thing is, as you know, almost everything we get these days is manufactured in China.
Yeah.
You know? So, quite funny. Right, next up, we'll get the Times, which I had to go and find elsewhere because there's no part of the paper review this morning.
Yeah.
So, let's get the Times up this morning. Trump will not break us, vows Carney after election triumph. I'm sure you've seen the speech, David. You'll be watching.
I'm very, very pleased at Mark Carney winning that election. And I've got some family across there, and some of the comments you want to see them because they hate the Liberals, right? But Mark Carney's a good guy. And I said, he's a good guy. He helps Scotland. So therefore, I'll speak for him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Net zero is doomed to fail, warns Tony Blair.
Yeah.
That lad, war criminal, puts his fucking neb in. Sorry, has been war criminal, puts his neb in. And the bottom one there, people say toodaloo to playing the recorder, and that's just telling us that music is part of the education system is being shut down to save money.
I learned the recorder when I was a kid. I'll be honest with you, the first instrument I learned. So there you go.
That's because there used to be music programs in schools, David.
Right.
You know. Right, last up today as usual. And we're more or less bang on time. Managed to get back on track, even though with the technical difficulties there. Last one up today is the Stars, so I'll put it up. Let's see what nonsense the Stars go for today, because that's what the Stars are good at. Nonsense. Okay. Give us sun days off, boss. And it's 30C siesta sizzler. So, what the Stars saying is, on days when the sun shines, we should shut everything down and take the day off, because there's not that many days when the fucking sun shines.
Aye, true. There you go. Well, do we then have to give up Christmas, New Year, Easter, and all the rest of it, and just have the Sundays, because the actual fact, it's like that might work out well against people that are employed.
Ah, well. As I say, that's what it's got for us today.
Yeah.
Nonsense is what it's got for us today. Which is what we expect for this Daily Star. That's what we put it up for the nonsense. You can't beat a bit of nonsense in the rags. So, what's interesting about the rags is only two of them covered the main headline in Scotland, which should be the main headline in Scotland today, and that is the demise of the Grangemouth refinery after 100 years and the betrayal of the Labour Party of Grangemouth and its couple of thousand employees, because it's not just the 4,000 employed there. There's another 16 or 1,700 in the supply chain who are also going to lose their fucking jobs. Absolutely shocking. And as I say, having Sarwar addressed the STUC yesterday saying he was going to turbocharge Scottish manufacturing, you could have heard a pin drop. There's a couple of things to go into that there. We'll do it tomorrow, David. The main one was, even if we could turbocharge Scottish manufacturing, who the fuck we going to sell it to? We've no markets. Trump doesn't want to play. The EU's fucking gone. Spanners. If you're on at the end just to cheer you all up, folks. But hey, as I say, the papers this morning are absolutely dodging the story about Grangemouth. If you're wondering why there was no Herald in the paper review today, because it does run that story. The papers that do run the Grangemouth story today haven't made it into the mainstream media's newspapers reviews. You know?
Well, the mainstream media also includes broadcast media.
Aye.
And many of the broadcast, so Sky, the TV News, and BBC, and all the rest of it, many of them actually ran end to end the story about Grangemouth.
I guess people don't want. I guess the hackers don't want us talking about this. Right.
Yeah.
That's it for this morning, folks. I'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. No doubt I'll have a rant on. David and I will be back tomorrow afternoon to get a wee bit more in depth into some of the subjects. We'll have a look especially at the Sarwar's nonsense in the STUC. No doubt that will come up.
A brief word, right? We are enormous. We will fuck up your broadcast if you talk about us again.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alistair. I'll need an antihistamine because even though the pollen counts are supposed to be higher,
kale. Go buy some kale.
Where you going, you curly fucking kale? You ever had or tasted that muck? I'll let you drink your fucking rotten green tea and fucking shit like that.
Still antihistamine. Good for you.
No doubt it is, but I'm not going to go and get it anyway. I don't like the taste. Right, guys, thanks very much. Look after yourselves. Enjoy the weather. And I mean that, enjoy the weather. I'll be getting outside and getting a bit of gardening done again today. David, see if you can get out the front and have a seat in the sun, get a wee bit of vitamin D around about you.
I'm taking vitamin D as a tablet, but I really should get outside.
Natural process is better. Right, catch you all later, folks. Bye for now.